she has a whole history, yeah, of being involved.
Well, we're finally in a local neighborhood Roman restaurant, and it is called Osteria di Pontefici, meaning next to the Pope here, Pontefici. Shirley, we all have to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for planning this thing for 4 months and being on the phone
From February to
and taking calls like last night. Marish calls in a panic. My son forgot his thing. I'm in bed already, and she's almost having bed. We got to get dressed, go down. So we had to do it.
No, but that's not who I was in the story. I mean, the story, no, really.
That's true.
I mean, you have to remember, there are 4 Ps, Joe. You're the creator. What was it? The first 3 that you had.
Packaging, positioning, and push, meaning make a decision.
Remember Joe saying that he,
So Shirley added another P. Preparation.
A P.
Well, preparation is assumed, Shirley. You can't get out of bed without being
assume it,
prepared.
right? So I saw very quickly in February that we had to move very, very fast because, as you know, all of Rome was being overtaken, every single hotel. You know, some of our members ended up at other hotels because you either came in at a certain moment or you wouldn't achieve it. By the way, am I still being filmed here? I'll keep talking.
Yes, you are. But I was trying to get a little...
So the first thing was...
Before he disappears again, I figured I'd get him on camera.
Yeah, okay, before he disappears. No, the first thing was real preparation, and that many members of our board did, you know, sort of come together in that period. But, Joe, there's too much. I mean, it's the canonization of Mother Teresa, right? It's a once-in-a-lifetime moment, and it's critical to the Albanian world. Now, I'll tell you what I want to say, which you'll probably not want to, you'll probably take out.
You could say it.
Which is that as important it was for all of us to be together and for the historical event, frankly, I was astonished about 2 things. The concert was all Western. There was no Albanian in it. You would not know.
They were going to have the Kosovo ensemble or something. I thought they were going to have something.
No, that was the Kosovo Philharmonic Orchestra. But what they were doing was showing the world. They thought they said, "Oh, we are as good as Westerners, or lovely Westerners." Well, you have that ability already. You are absolutely fabulous, right? You are incredible in your accomplishment. Why didn't you at least add some critical Albanian music within it? Why didn't you integrate it? Why didn't you teach? Why didn't you show, okay, this was done in, let's say, Italy at a certain point, but there was a corresponding thing in the Albanian world. I could, and I'm not, you know, from the Philharmonic. I'm not, you know, a musician, but I could have, and you could have, and you could have, and you could have begun to create a very powerful text, okay, that would have educated. How many, this was a time when the whole world was watching. The whole world was watching because Mother Teresa is international. They lost the opportunity. And what I learned from Lecca when we ran into the Kohat TV staff that were there after the Albanian orchestra, one of the key persons there, he actually is manager of the Philharmonic. And Lecca told me, the government just came in, just do something. We're having this, you just do it, and they interfered, okay? So we lost that opportunity. Okay, great. We could have helped. Then you go to the next thing, you go to the canonization. Both the canonization and the Albanian Mass. One little paragraph in the Albanian language, one little paragraph in the text, right? And then, at least with Pope Francis, he identified Mother Teresa as an Albanian, right? Where she was originally from. He didn't say, oh, from Macedonia. He said Albanian. Yeah, but he said, right? But then, no, hold on, I'm finally saying something here. But then you go to the Albanian Mass, no less. Everyone knows this is the Albanian Mass, right?
There was nothing Albanian.
Nothing Albanian in it except about, if I could write it myself, about 3 sentences when I knew something else. Wouldn't you have brought in certain Albanians to, you know, be leaders in that? What would have hurt? Yes. And so all you saw was the elevation of the Vatican. The Vatican is great at doing, you know, this pageantry. They want to, you know, solidify their history. But again, this goes back to my point all along. Both the governments on the one hand are too much, oh, we're really, with you, the West, and they're actually lazy, they're lazy because why do something, right? And then, the other thing is, Mara said to me, he was sitting next to me in the Albanian mass, he said, Shirley, when I said, what about the Catholic Church there? What about the cultural, people? What about, the civil society? He said, surely they have no courage, they have no guts. But I would add again, where is the vision? They had a chance. So I'm sorry to make this comment, but I feel...
No, but I think it's very good that you give us this nice analysis because everybody will agree with you.
By the way, I think there's some power in this analysis. There's some power in this analysis in the following way. Again, we can take this perspective. Now we bring it back. We can be in an exchange. We can go to the good people in civil society who understand what I just said, right? And we can go to other people throughout the Albanian world and say, we had a huge opportunity here. We only got, a portion of what it should have been, really, really tiny. I think what we should all do is look, how did the Western press cover this? I'm going to look at who actually said Mother Teresa was Albanian at all in the coverage. I haven't had a chance to go back. Yeah. Who said she's just Macedonian? I hope no one said she was Indian. Did you hear that? What?
CNN first said that she
Yeah, CNN, okay, but I'm also going to look at the New York
They
Times.
played up Calcutta a lot.
Shortly. And then we're going to say, here it is again. You must take a powerful role in terms of public relations, in terms of policy.
Right.
Okay?
But the government doesn't understand that message except for their own internal politics.
I'm not talking about the government alone.
But Shirley, let's switch
I'm talking about lack of courage.
Okay,
also.
but yesterday we were at Brecci and that was wonderful. What would you like to say about that?
I'm going to ask, actually, I'd like her to talk about it because I think it's really powerful for somebody who's Albanian to talk about who grew up in Kosovo and only had heard about the Abresh but never...
Leka, did you hear that?
I have been there
so
times that
I think it's a good point to go to
500 years.
Your, in a couple of minutes, your impression of, since you've never been to an Arbrecht village, but you've heard of them, you came away with what feelings that either elevated your sense of being Albanian or you said, you know what, this is too far removed from my Albanian experience. What would you say?
No, first I would like to thank you for providing me the opportunity to be a part of the group. It was brilliant. It was not just like a visit or a trip that we had, but it was sort of pilgrimage that we had because we came for very important things that we did and we saw. So part of this pilgrimage started, of course, on Sunday. I skipped a part of the concert because coming from Kosovo,
Well, focus on Gretchen because I think in your case, you're a good test.
I was telling this to many people in the group that yesterday, the day in Gretchen was, for me, it was like a fairy tale. Because we always have learned in schools about the Arbrecht community that are living in Italy. These are descendants of Skanderbeg generation that flew Albania when the Turks came. And they preserved our heritage and history and culture just like it was centuries ago on the period when Skanderbeg was alive. So this was very important because we don't have so many things written about that period besides of the documents and so far correspondence that Skanderbeg had himself, but not for the population. So when we went in Greci and when I was listening to the mayor talking in Arbrecht, it was amazing because she was speaking Albanian, not Albanian dialect that I do speak, but she was speaking a dialect that is not familiar to me, but I did understand everything that she was saying. So this is something like a miracle because knowing that there are some Arbrecht again, it was just like a book that we read for them or so, and it was like on the level of fiction. So now when we saw that, when I saw and I listened on the Arbrecht dialect of Albanian language, It was amazing feeling. So it was like a fairy tale coming true.
Well, you say the word dialect, but technically it's not a dialect. It's really the original form
I know,
of the language.
As today, Albanian is not
Right.
flat Albanian.
Exactly,
I
I know.
want to consider Arbëresh as a dialect
Right.
on the parallel level as Gig. and
Okay, all right. This is a very good observation.
And 500 years
Yeah.
preserved for 500
Now,
years.
you could see that Laura Perillo is now made it her life's work to keep studying this language like Martin Sabai. She's already written the calendar. She's written several things she sent us, and now she's got the book. You know, we raised right on the spot $500 for 100 copies, and we're going to distribute at least 2 each to people from our board and maybe get more. Because I want them to know that people here in Italy are very serious. Albanians who have been here are serious about continuing to save the language like Dorada did with the Franciscan monks for several hundred years while the Turks were trying to eliminate it. They were practicing it. They were writing newspapers. I have in my possession, people, send me things and I can't read them all. And I came across a file because I'm archiving everything. These were old newspapers with columns from Dorada in the Arbrecht language. So they were actually using it and trying to perpetuate the language while they were talking about the issues that were important for Italy, because they encouraged many Arbrecht to join the unification movement and whatever preceded it. I can't remember exactly what years Dorada was there. So, it's a wonderful experience, and I'm glad that you feel the same way, because you'll go back, and I hope in your own way, you are a producer at a good TV show, and I hope you can find a way to maybe put those comments in the air so that people will hear it.
Even though there are some logistical and technical issues about that, but not only that, not only television crew to keep it professional. I really would like to bring attention to Arbrecht community, to the Albanians in Kosovo to come and visit as more as they can Arbrecht, and to help them, because they are being challenged very much by the globalization, and people are leaving these towns.
Right.
And so very shortly there is quite a risk that there will be no Arbrecht community as it used to be for settlers. So
Right.
it should be done from the countries of origin, let's say, Albania, Kosovo, a lot more.
And I would just add to that, that's why the connection from you and people in the countries of origin to people like Laura, we should not lose Laura. Because if you lose Laura, her mother especially has spent years making sure that she learned Albanian, or Russian, of course, that was educated in Italy, but then she, of all people I haven't heard of someone from Arbrecht lands going to study at the University of Toronto, specializing
That is
in
wonderful.
the
I didn't
Albanian
know
language
that, and to find,
culture.
so she's taking this seriously.
And you need that person then to carry on
Well,
from generation
let me
to
say what she told me.
So-
She's equivalent to the cultural minister right now.
Cultural attaché
And they're
for the
paying
mayor.
her a very modest stipend. She can't make a living off this. So I asked her, what is it that you think you're doing that's most important? And you know what she told me? She says, well, we have a huge amount of books downstairs that have to now be cataloged, and I want to start forming a library. Many people have died and left books, and they're preserved. I says, Laura, that is a wonderful idea. I have one family that's called me already, 2 daughters of Jimmy Gregory. Now here's an Orthodox Albanian that had a passion for the Albanian history and collected a huge library. They don't know what to do with it. So I said, Laura, is it possible? I'll figure out how I can raise the money to get it here. But is it possible for you to take a huge library catalog? She said, Joe, I would love that. That's really what I want to do. I said, so this could become a repository. There are many Albanians who are dying, and the kids are throwing out the books. No, and I know Haki Devishi, who got into some trouble. He just got out of a facility, but now he's out, and he shouldn't have been there to begin with. He's already told me that Father Hiroshi, who was a very prominent priest in the Catholic Church from the Bronx, couldn't trust anybody, didn't like the priest. He left his entire library to hockey out in Palm Springs, California.
Well, what we'll do is...
Now I got to figure out what is he going to do with that.
Yeah,
I
we'll
got
have someone here, you know, you're an example of someone who can evaluate things like this before you send it. By the way, you wanted to go around the room and
Well,
but,
we've heard from Rifat, Aisha.
Yeah.
I want to now jump. You're going to speak on behalf of the Mehmeti family. Just a few words. I'm impressed that you were listening to this complicated. This complicated. We can jump around here, but today you missed it when we were after this the tour of the Jewish Quarter. I wish I had taped what he said, and I told him to do it in Albanian because he could speak it, and I wasn't aware that his command of the Albanian language was so good that he not only followed it, he was able to have a conversation, a dialogue on it, because like I was saying, how difficult it is now with the government trying to find every excuse to co-opt this Jewish issue. So he went through the whole thing. So I just want to, what is your reaction to this whole experience?
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for the whole experience, for showing us around.
And by the way, this is Flamor Mehmeti. He's going to school in Switzerland,
yes,
and taking your master's degree in economics.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes. As I was saying, I'd like to thank you for the entire experience, for taking us to what is your homeland, or your father's homeland, and showing us around Rome.
It's really our homeland, too.
Yes, everyone here. And it's just great to see a culture that's been preserved for 500 years. It shows that for all Albanian Americans that even for the first or second generation, it shouldn't be impossible to teach our kids, to teach your kids Albanian, and to further push and remember our culture. So,
thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And it was important for us to see so many younger people on this trip. I'm glad Marsh brought his kids, and Val Balai did, and
exactly.
And
this is an unforgettable experience for all of us. You know?
Terrific. Thank you. Now we have to turn to a more experienced voice here, someone who spent time in Macedonian jails. He told us some stories. Well, or at least, wait a minute, he was in Macedonian handcuffs, I know that.
Age of 16 for a few days.
Would you believe they arrested him on a train, and his family was on the same train, and they didn't tell him that they were arresting him?
We want to hear from him.
Shirley.
You're not Ramazan.
I heard the story. Let me tell it. No, I'm kidding.
By the way, no one else has to speak.
But forget that story, but tell me, you are someone who's really been around the Albanian world. I remember when I started 25 years ago, or 20 years ago after I left, you were already doing what I would say close to documentaries, but filming a lot. And you spent a lot of time in Kosovo. I don't know how many years, 4 or 5 years? And you're born in what is now the country of Macedonia, but on Albanian lands. I hate to say anything, people born on Macedonia.
It's actually Albanian term. As a term and as a land. Original Macedonians, we are the Illyrians. I've been also, I'm very much interested in Albanian culture and language. And I master most of the dialects of the Albanian language. And I've been to Chamberia also, a few times, just investigating, and I did some filming, but I never got to finish the documentary about Chamberia. One day, maybe, perhaps I will. But this trip was especially important to me, and it'll be one of, recorded as a trip of my lifetime, because how many saints there are inaugurated in your lifetime?
Right,
Especially,
not many.
Especially an Albanian saint.
Right.
I mean, I know I have now someone I can pray to.
Even though you're not Catholic.
You can't even call me a Muslim, really. My name is Ramazan, but I'm agnostic. I believe in God, but I don't believe in any religion.
Right.
That's the truth.
It's like not believing in any party, but you're Albanian.
Exactly.
By the way, Joe.
Thank you for that.
It was really a moving experience, emotional experience as well. Participating in the canonization process, the visit to Vatican, the Vatican Gardens, Monsignor Franco did a great job. What a nice man. We have to thank him for that.
Well, actually, I want you to thank me.
Everybody.
I really must say that because what I wanted to add is that apart from what I said and apart from how I felt about the actual event at the Vatican, I mean, at the canonization ceremony, I developed this program so that we would be doing important things at each step of the way, not the typical, and to bring in, the critical elements that we could of the Albanian experience from the Jewish rescue. And of course, Gretchen was automatic because lack of experience here, but Joe Skanderbeck's history, Joe's family history. And so we wanted to, and I wanted it to be meaningful throughout. And I'm glad that you thought it was.
It was.
And I value your viewpoint.
Adding the trip to Gretchen, it was a moving experience.
We were lucky that Gretchen is the most northern of the towns. I mean, people talk about Calabria, and one person says, well, I'm happy to go to Calabria. I said, you'd have to go at least another 200 kilometers south to get to Calabria.
And if we could have gone to Cosenza, it would be great because it's such a center. But
it is, and a very important cultural center for our Buresh.
I know.
It's like the center of our whole Buresh community needed it.
Well, I have to thank you for coming, and thank you for supporting us. And you are one that has made an impact on a lot of people over the years. And think about how we can get this message out to even more people, okay? You're not a member, not technically of the board of the league, but we spend a lot of time with you on the phone. Appreciate your advice, but I think you need to give us your ideas about how we can spread this message. Okay, Ramazan? Thank you. Now, Agim, you've been interviewed on many occasions with us, especially on this trip. I don't want to burden you right now, but just say a few words about this experience because it is different from what we've done before when you think about it. First, we had a great luck in getting to know this Monsignor Franco, who did arrangements for us like you couldn't do, right?
Yes.
And I'm hoping we all come together and have a little dinner with him to thank him, and then we want him to bring the papal nuncio. You missed the lunch we had today where I told them when I asked Franco, do you mind if I meet the papal nuncio? He says, Joe, it's going to be very, very difficult. He's got a big schedule. He had just come from somewhere else. By the way, he was in charge of the Albanian bishops for 5 years. He knew Sopi, he knew Georgi, so he knows. I was supposed to have a 10-minute meeting with him after 5 o'clock. I'm going to put this on the record, but I said this at lunch. Do you know, he told me, Sister Bridget, his top assistant, a nun, said, Joe, he has to meet with you after 5 o'clock, but he has at 5:30 a reception with some important people. He wants you to come to that floor so he can walk right next door. So I go to his office. You know, he spent, that was 5:30. He didn't leave until 6:30. He spent an hour, it's supposed to be 10 minutes. He was so infatuated with what we did with this league for the, he didn't know it. Yes. And when I explained why we brought Sophie to testify, he was amazed. So now Franco said, all right, if you do this for me, I want to bring the papal nuncio. I says, absolutely, because one of the things we have to do is we have to lobby Vatican to recognize Kosovo. He'd be the guy, and since he spends so much time at the United Nations, he'll know the Jewish ambassador and get the message to him, why hasn't Israel recognized? So I just want to let you know that.
Well, Joe, first let me thank Shirley. Shirley, you did a wonderful job.
She did.
It's not easy to put a trip like this with 60 people, especially 60 Albanians.
Right.
All common ones. But you did
I think you would agree that the content is even more important, the preparation for all that, but it's the content that was critical. I think that some of the choices I made personally and that some that Joe made up for what the government ended up not doing.
Right, exactly. Especially for us.
And thank you, Joe, too, for everything, for this great trip. This was a historical trip.
Right.
It was different from what we were doing before. I'm glad I was part of it, part of history. There are 2 points I want to make about this trip. First, of course, the most important part was the colonization of Mother Teresa, which...
That's why we came.
Which gives the Albanian nation more importance in the world. We gave a great person to the world. It's not Mother Teresa cared about the whole world. That shows the spirit of the Albanian people. We always help others. We always, like we did with Jewish people, same thing. Mother Teresa gave her life for the whole world, for the poorest of the poor. Now, the other part of the trip is everything that has to do with Skanderbeg, Greci, your parents came from there. That village, no spice.
Yeah, that was... It's all right.
Just hold it, we'll edit.
Sure. No, let him put it down.
Fettuccine, pochi porcini, noodles.
Fettuccine? Not for me. I think he ordered fettuccine right here.
Fettuccine e porcini.
It's all right. I'm going to let the camera roll because I want to let people see the action here in an Italian restaurant.
Okay. So the second point that I wanted to make, we, as Leka said, we heard about our brash, we knew they exist, everything, and we had a connection through you. But being there, seeing them, talking to these people, it made such a big difference, such a big impact on my heart. This is the part of Albanian nation and part of the history. They were there for 500 years, and that village on the hill, you know, Skanderbeg left his soldiers. It symbolizes the same thing that what he did in Cloyes. They put everything, you know, in the castle. He went around and fought the Turks. Here they were on top of the hill, and they were on that hill. They can control the whole area around. So it is now.
Tomato mozzarella.
Right here.
They were clever. They knew positioning, location was important.
So I felt that I got the connection with the 500 years ago, when was the time when Skanderbeg was fighting. And that's another great man who did a lot for Albanian nation, but he did also for others, for the war. So he saved the civilization from the advancing of the Turks, Ottoman Empire. So these are two great people that did a lot for Albanian people, nation, but they did for the rest of the world.
Finished a lovely dinner, Roman style, not too far from the hotel, and here we are getting up now, nice and full, getting ready for tomorrow. Let's see now, you're going to leave tomorrow, and you're both going to Switzerland, right? Or first, where are you going?
I'm going to Switzerland. He's going to Milan, to DioGuardi. He's stopping in Milan.
Yes, Milano.
Just to stay there for a day or so?
3 days.
3 days in Milan.
Then I'm leaving for Civic.
By the lake.
I stay 4 days.
Wonderful. You're looking to open up another pizzeria.
September 15th, I'm flying to New York.
And Nagim, you said you're going directly back to the United States.
Me and Sadete, Frankfurt, Kennedy. That's it.
Getting prepared for a couple of weddings.
Yes, we have so many weddings. The most important is our son's
Well, we're still waiting for that invitation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I wrote it down.
Officially, you have the invitation.
I know.
You're gonna have
I got it.
Writing because I know you like it in writing.
Very good. And you're going from here to Albania. Aisha, you're going with him? So you wow. Someone's got to look at the contracts that someone's signing, right? It's still construction, right? You still have a construction company. Very good. Very good. This was nice. Now, Leka, you're going where tomorrow? You go Albania. You're going to Albania. You're going right back to home. Yeah, we need you there. We got to resolve this whole issue with the wall. for the heroes that saved the Jews in Kosovo, right? Wonderful. Albanians.
Looking forward.
Well, Shirley and I can say that we're going to spend 2 more days. We're going to Ostia, Antica, just a kind of little, rest and relaxation after all of this, and we'll kind of consider what our next steps are.